So, what's that saying? Best laid plans of mice and men often go to crap. Sometimes the technical wizards or goblins or impish spirits decide to be a little bit more playful on some days, especially if you're expecting it to. I think there's a law about it. Anyway, let's go ahead and show you what we had intended to do for you today on the launch day of my second book, The Seer and the Dreamers. I really hope that you like it, and it's going to contain some of the elements that I was hoping for just without the live setting. I can't thank everybody enough that attended our live performance. And again, you guys were the true MVPs for sticking it in there as long as everybody did. So hopefully this makes up for a little bit of lost expectations, mine as well as yours. We're gonna go ahead and have this, our book launch event. I hope you enjoy it.
The skies above the sea were swirled with pastel pinks and blues, like something a painter would create. The ocean waves were subtle at first, but they quickly swelled frightfully, as tall as spires with the water sharp as knives. Through the water, images of indignant faces peered out in rage. The ocean frothed with venom and anger, and the torrential tide rose higher than the kingdom of Daya's bordering mountains that pierced the clouds. Then the waves became flames and an all-consuming fire. Hues of angry red and orange, though subdued, continued to rise high into the air, blocking out the sun. It swelled and crashed over and over again. It enveloped two small figures standing deep in the sand of the beach completely. The young maid flew up from the bed, still shaking from the grips of the nightmare, into the waiting arms of the village's dream dancer. As the safety and security of the waking world washed over her in the haven of Nera's arms, she began to shake with silent sobs of relief. It wasn't real. It was just the dream again. And this time she hadn't been alone. "You were there," she said. "It was just as you promised. You were there in the dream. You were actually there. I didn't have to be alone." Nera held the woman tightly. The younger woman, who was barely leaving behind her childhood, had come to Nera earlier that day during Nera's daily work at the care home for the elderly of the village. The maid fiddled with the skin around her nails of her hand as she nervously approached Nera and asked for her help with her recurring nightmares. Nera looked at the sunken, dark circles of the maid's eyes and knew that she had not been sleeping restfully. Now Nera had seen what had been burning in the woman's mind as she slept at night. She held the images as vivid in her mind as though she had dreamt of the fire herself. She had stood inside of the dream, danced within it, and took the burden and horror within herself and shared it. This was her gift. This was her calling. And this was her special place within fate.
In the live broadcast, this is where I would have introduced myself and my beautiful co-host. So I do want to take a moment to say thank you so much, Lena, for everything that you did. You really kicked butt today. You talked me down. You kept the chat up. You did the prize wheel and everything for me. And so I really wanted to say thank you so much, Lena Laux. You're the best sister that anybody could have ever asked for in life.
All right, hi guys. I'm gonna be your bartender for a minute. This drink I'm gonna make for you, I don't know what its name is, but it's delicious and refreshing, and if you come up with a good name, let me know. So what you want is, you'll need a glass with ice, cucumber vodka, sweet and sour, and some ground cayenne pepper, ground red pepper. Super simple, okay? So, shot glass. We're gonna go with one shot. Oh, the glass might be a little small. I like to go 1 and 1. So 1 shot of the cucumber vodka, 1 shot of sweet and sour. Stir it together and sprinkle a little pepper, ground pepper on top. This would probably also be really delicious with tahini instead. And now a little stir and cheers. It's very summery.
10 facts that you may not know about me. These facts range from happy, sad, bizarre, and quirky, but they are part of who I am as a person and a writer. They have shaped me and influenced me and my writing in some way. Number 1, I am a big fan of Steven Universe and Rooster Teeth's American Anime Ruby. I was introduced to Steven Universe by Tyler and Brian back when I worked at my last job. They urged, and once I started, there was no turning back. I immediately gravitated towards the theme of love, and not just romantic love, but self-love. The first time that the credit song stated, "Love me like you," I cried. Self-love is something I struggle with, and it's a theme that is seen in my writing. The epic world building of Ruby is what I love the most about that show. It has such a complex and consistent fantasy world full of so many moving parts that never contradict or falter in its eccentricities. I admire that because it's not easy. I want to build a world so detailed that they show through, just like Ruby did, in any of my fantasy worlds. Number 2, I have been trained in stage combat. When I was a freshman in high school, I found my calling in drama. I loved my classes, my teacher, and my classmates. They became my second family. There I met Mr. Arnold Brown, and he came in for a 2-week course in stage combat. I had a knack for it and a passion for everything about it. I mean, instead of a first dance at my wedding, my husband and I did a sword fight. I was always in love with the concept of a badass woman who could defend herself, but it became so much more extreme with this new skill. This influenced character development for my stories, and it will for the sequels. Number 3, my dream vacation, if I had all the money in the whole world, it would still be to take my family to Disneyland. Nothing would ever change about my favorite place in the world. I cannot wait to take my 2 sons there for the first time. I would either stay at the Disneyland Dream Suite, if I had all that money, or in a room at the Grand Californian. I would want to visit Club 31. We would eat at a waterfront table at the Blue Bayou. We'd eat steak gumbo from a bread bowl and have Dole Whip floats until I puke. I just want my kids to experience it. When this is all over, I don't care. We're doing it. Number 4, speaking of Disneyland, I was once kicked out of Disneyland. Did you know that if you are over the age of 7, you cannot wear a Disney character costume in the parks? Well, I do. Now. I was about 16 and I was dressed as Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I was in the park for about 3 hours when, all of a sudden, I was surrounded by security guards, saying I had to change back into my normal clothes. Well, that's what I came into the park with. so I had to go back to the hotel and change. It was not a fun day. Number 5. I got lost in the woods in Red River, New Mexico when I was little. I went exploring with a group of slightly older than I was kids. They were children of family friends that had vacationed with us. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to get along. I wanted to have friends. Well, it didn't take me long to fall behind. And I found myself alone, far from a trail or anyone I knew. I remember the fear, and I remember being so afraid of anything that could pop out from behind the trees. I never forgot how I felt there. And although I found a trail eventually and got back to my mom, that feeling was something that I would remember always, and may have made its way into my stories. Number 6. I often avoided reality in fantasy worlds. When I was very young and my parents divorced, I was sent to a court-appointed counselor. She later told my mom that I really made elaborate fantasies. I had a vivid imagination and created worlds so alive and vibrant, but she didn't mean it in a positive way necessarily. She was concerned that I went into the fantasies a little too often and didn't leave them when I needed to face real life. Hey, at least it gave me a leg up in acting and writing. Number 7. I was shown the movie Halloween way too young. Although it was very easily my very favorite horror movie of all time and always will be, I was shown Halloween way too young. Don't ask me how young, I can't remember. I just know that it was too young. Needless to say, it gave me a healthy fear for the dark. I was mortified of the thought of going up the stairs because I couldn't turn on the lights from downstairs. However, I have an appreciation for darkness and shadows and the fear that can lie within them. Certainly kind of helped with my first 2 books. Number 8. I almost lost my second child. When I was about 23 weeks pregnant with my youngest son, I had an accident at my former workplace that resulted in me falling hard upon my pregnant stomach. I ended up being taken by ambulance from one hospital to another one across town, since that one had a prenatal ICU, just in case they couldn't stop my labor. I have never in my life been more scared than I was for that long weekend. I knew that the chances of my baby boy surviving if I couldn't keep him in were very slim. After the medication, that made me sicker than I had ever been before, and a full weekend in the hospital, I was released, having successfully kept my baby boy from being born. I never stopped having painful contractions for the rest of the pregnancy, and although he was born 2 weeks early, he was alive and healthy. I thank God for all of the people at Presbyterian who saved me and my baby. Number 9. I lost my brother on May 13th, 2013. As a depressing subject as that is, the loss of my brother has had a most profound effect on my life in writing. He wasn't a brother by blood, but he was my family through love. We were very close. I mean, he was even one of the 2 best men at my wedding. The pain that he lived in every single day because of an accident just became too much, and he took his life the day after Mother's Day that year. Nothing in my life ever hurt as much as that news did. My entire experience with grief and suicide, my relationship with that subject, it's burned into me and is more personal than I ever thought I would have to experience. It hurts to this day. He inspired a character in my first book, and he will always be a part of me. Number 10. My very favorite book is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. To end on a less depressing note, though maybe not much of one, my very favorite book that I fell in love with at the 4th grade was Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. When I first read it, I was in Mr. Briggs's class, and he assigned me and my reading group this book. I will always be grateful for that. It was amazing. When I lost my own dog and we buried him, later that year, a plant even grew of his grave, I told myself that it was a red fern just like the book, because of how much he loved me and how much I loved him. That special love that was shown in this book, it resonates with me even to this day. Those are 10 facts that you may not know about me, but now you do. I hope that all of my experiences make a positive impact on my writing, and I feel so blessed to share it with all of you. Thank you.
I do want to take a couple of shout outs today here. First off, my work wife Jackie here just closed on her very first house. So yay to ending 5 years of utter hell in an apartment. I'm very happy for you and proud of you guys. Congratulations. And I want to say thank you so much to medical staff across all of the major fields here. Loveless took great care of my mother today. Presbyterian continues to take great care of my dad, who's on the up and up, trying to get recovered here from some issues that he had. And the VA is taking great care of my 90-year-old grandpa, who is suffering a little bit of pneumonia here. But any prayers that you all have are greatly appreciated, but thank you so much to the doctors, the nurses, the traveling nurses, the MAs, the techs. All of you guys are saving our butts right now, and so thank you so very much. I feel so happy to be at least a very small part of the positive influence in our health industry right now. And now I'd like to say hello to my very first guest that we have on the line here for today. Our guest author right now is Tyler Burks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Burks. As Samantha said, I am an author. I am a huge nerd, and I am a lover of all things artistic and storytelling and mythological and magical and wonderful. I'm here to talk about my newest book in the works, The Rune Mage's Apprentice. It is a story about a young man who runs away from home and the extremely powerful gender non binary mage Aaron, who, bored with being the best at everything that they do, decides that they want to take on an apprentice. And it's their story about how they meet and the trials that they have to overcome together and the things that they learn working in tandem. So it's been a long time coming for me to write my own book. I've something that I've always wanted to do in one way, shape, or form, and it wasn't until Samantha showed me with The Healer in the Mist that I could do it. And I very much used to be one of those people who would always wait for permission to do something. I always wanted someone else to tell me that it was okay to do something or something. I needed that push. And after she gave me that push, I decided that I would take it and run with it. And it's been months in the making now, but we're coming to a close. So sooner rather than later, you guys are going to be able to see and read the entirety of The Rune Mage's Apprentice and all of its wonderful glory.
For my next guest, I have a Charlie Deering. That's right, we have the same last name, probably because we got married. He's my husband, my inspiration, my joy, my support, and I love you very, very much. And he's also a really awesome author. If nobody else knew, I'm going to be here to tell you. Give him an opportunity to speak his mind as an author. So take it away, my love.
Hello there. I didn't see you come in, or I didn't see. You're here now, and that's what's important. My name is Charlie Deering, and I am the husband of the amazingly talented Samantha Deering, who is the reason you're watching me right now. And I've been asked to speak to you as part of the plea bargain. I'm sorry. I've been asked to speak to you as a favor to Samantha, and about my writing history and my writing past. Why? Why would she get her husband to talk to you about writing? Well, it turns out you may not know this, but I too am a talented. I too have public. No, I like writing also, and I have a long history of it. I've studied it. I have gone to college for it. I have been published in smaller magazines on a collegiate level. I've had some of my plays produced, both on sort of a local level and in college. And I also have written novels and things of that nature that have only been read by like 3 people, which is, how you want it as an author, not for lack of trying. I take all of that back. I like to write. And my journey into writing came from high school. Well, it came before high school, but really started getting into it in high school. And it was with my theater teacher. I come to writing from a place of performance, from a place of theater, from a place of action. My theater teacher at the time, who was Joey Chavez at Santa Fe High, was producing a big sort of class-bound set of scenes. It was all to take place in the diner, and he was tired of he'd been doing this for years. He was tired of all of his actors doing the same 10 plays by David Ives, little 10-minute pieces that every high school student has to do. And so he turned to me. He said, "Hey, Charlie, you're standing in front of me right now. How about you write a play?" And I said, yes, and I did. And I wrote a play, and it was called Steve Doesn't Work Here, and it's all right. It's not anything that's going to win whatever awards they give to playwrights. You can tell, I know what awards they give to playwrights because I've seen so many. The Tonys, that's what they're called. Mostly musical theater. Doesn't matter. Anyway, Steve Doesn't Work Here. Done. He liked it enough that he had me write another one, which was called La Femme d'Amour, and that one I actually published in a local magazine, or not, sort of like a collegiate magazine, and it's been performed a couple of times outside of that. And so that began my sort of writing career. And then as I entered college and continued with both acting and writing, I was introduced to Matthew McDuffie, who's a screenwriter at UNM. screenwriting teacher at UNM. He is also a screenwriter, wrote for a number of different things, and I've been pursuing that again, coming back to that. And then I also worked under a man named Digby Wolfe, who was really, really important and influential to me. This was a guy who wrote for Laugh-In and a few episodes of The Muppets. If you guys have seen The Jungle Book, he's one of the vultures. He sings in it. Really cool dude. Gave me a school bus toy. Had no idea what it meant. He's really nice. He passed recently. It's very sad. But he was a big influence on my writing, especially of the comedic nature, of the dialogue nature, of the understanding of story arc and structure as it pertains to specifically plays and screenwriting. As far as novels are concerned, I have trouble writing sometimes because most of my action, most of my description is used exclusively for the purpose of the narrative, to move things along. I don't sit there and talk about how gorgeous a wall is for a paragraph, because I'm like, I don't care about this wall. I want to see what so and so and what's his face are doing. Those are my two favorite characters, so and so and what's his face. And also, because of my past in sort of playwriting and things of that nature, I'm very character oriented, I'm very character driven, and I enjoy dialogue. I love writing dialogue. And I'm told by people who aren't me that I'm good at dialogue. So, way to go. Obviously, if I was really, really, really good at this, I'd probably stop saying so much. I almost said again. It's scary. Anyway, fuck. Long story short, I'm a writer, and I have written a book that you won't have read. You probably can't find it because it's sitting over there. I haven't published it because it's a lot of work, you guys. It's a lot of work to publish something. Self-publish, go to a publisher, get a literary agent. It's a lot of work. It's scary. I'm terrified that Sam did it, and that I didn't. She's awesome, and I think that's where we're going to end this. My name is Charlie Deering. My wife is awesome. Have a good day.
So I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much. I know that today wasn't the way that we planned, but you all were amazing in showing so much support. I am truly, truly blessed, and I feel so honored. So this toast isn't to my book. It isn't to me. It's to all of you. I toast to you.
I toast to you.
Now you can drink.
A toast to you.
I toast to you.
I don't have to down it.
The other one.